First of all, it does swing back very fast, but this is destructive, not just of the nature of the Senate, but the nature of the Republic. Let's take a trip down memory lane. I mean, even Joe Biden needs to try to go back and remember the actual history of the filibuster. The filibuster on judicial nominees was put in by Democrats, and Democrats wielded it and used it. The use of the filibuster since Joe Biden was in the United States Senate has overwhelmingly been used by Democrats. They never called it Jim Crow. They never called it racist. They're doing it now because they want to pass their radical agenda. And the only thing that stands in the way of them are 10 Republican senators who simply don't agree. If they get rid of the filibuster now, it will be destructive of our republic, which is really the one thing Joe Biden only cares about. He wants his way, he wants his agenda, and I find it to be outrageous that Kamala Harris used the filibuster when she was in the Senate, Barack Obama used the filibuster when he was in the Senate, and Joe Biden used the filibuster all the time, including, frankly, blocking conservative Supreme Court nominees using the filibuster and weaponizing the filibuster to do it too.
Well, Barack Obama was in the Senate for like 15 minutes. But we do have a clip of his defense of the filibuster back in 2005 as well. Here he is.
The American people want less partisanship in this town, but everyone in this chamber knows that if the majority chooses to end the filibuster, if they choose to change the rules and put an end to democratic debate, then the fighting and the bitterness and the gridlock will only get worse.
Now, Congressman, when you strip away the racial aspects of this and the Democrat and Republican aspects of this, the reason why the filibuster exists is to protect minority rights. The reason why the U.S. Senate exists is to protect against the tyranny of the masses. The reason why we have the Electoral College is to protect against the same thing. But when it's inconvenient for Democrats, they have no problem with throwing around racism when it comes to this issue or with Washington, D.C. and statehood for the District of Columbia.
You're absolutely right. There is nothing racist about the filibuster. There's nothing coming from the Jim Crow era about the filibuster. And if the Democrats want to talk about Jim Crow, they need to go back into the history of their party, because it is their party that actually created Jim Crow policies in the South. But let's be very clear. You are correct. The filibuster actually protects the minority voices in the United States. That's its role. That's what it's designed to do. If you get rid of it, we're going to have one-way mobocracy in the United States of America. It's destructive of our country because the minority has rights too. And what you can never do is just do something just to get your agenda across. That's what President Biden wants to do. Frankly, that's what Kamala Harris wants to do. And that's what the radical left want to do. You don't hear Bernie Sanders or AOC begging to keep the filibuster. You know why? Because they want to push their radical agenda. That is what at hand. And once again, the left is weaponizing race as the tool to try to get their agenda across.
And it was one of those moments where it was really strange to see Joe Biden struggle, a guy who served 47 years in Washington, a lot of that time in the U.S. Senate, on the rules of the filibuster. As far as I understand it, you just need 51 votes to get rid of the filibuster. He struggled on that in a number of areas as well. That was a little hard to watch. I also want to focus, though, on Nancy Pelosi, because yesterday she seemed to be having like a virtual press conference. She wasn't in her normal surroundings, and she seemed to speak the truth about what she thinks about her own power here. And this is in reference to that Iowa House race that was won by Congresswoman Miller Meeks by the narrowest of margins. But Democrats are trying to, oh my gosh, undo the election. Here's the speaker talking about that.
Now, if I wanted to be unfair, I wouldn't have seated the Republican from Iowa, because that was my right on the opening day. I would have just said, they're not seated. And that would have been my right as Speaker to do.
My right as Speaker is to tell the people of Iowa who they can and cannot have representing them in Congress. Is that how, am I interpreting that incorrectly?
What she says is what she believes, and what she believes is disastrous for the country. Let's be very clear. Mariannette Miller Meeks, her race was certified by the state of Iowa. It went through 3 recounts. Her opponent, the Democrat opponent that lost that race by 6 votes, never took any of this to court. She doesn't want to go to court because she knows she'll lose in court. Where does she want to go? To the House of Representatives, where Democrats have control. And so now the Democrats, through the shadows, when everybody's talking about what's going on the border, which is important, when people are talking about coronavirus, which is important, what they're trying to do through the back door is remove a sitting member of Congress. And I don't really care what Nancy Pelosi says. that vote has to go to the House floor. Republicans and Democrats are going to have to vote on this measure. And that's going to be very interesting to see if Democrat members of Congress, not even radical